I think in these times, it is so important. It is important to bring light and education and understanding towards it, not only for the betterment of the future generation, but for us who are continuing to leave a legacy for the ones who are to come. So I think it's really something in which we can pour into each other, we can learn more, and we can continue to build up as we learn and engage within the skills that are important to our development as a global community. So TVET, which is known as Technical and Vocational Education and Training, is education and training in which training provides knowledge and skills for employment. It uses the formal, the non-formal, and informal learning. So we have to recognize how important it is to our productivity as individual nations, for our social equity, and for sustainable development within our community. So we have an amazing panel of speakers with us today that we are going to be so blessed to introduce. So as we continue, I see in the comment section, someone mentioned that you're really loving the music. Thank you so much. It was just to continue to create the ambiance that we wanted to have here. And, you know, as an African community, there are so many ways in which we can continue to bolster our skills together and continue to appreciate and bring that knowledge to all of us. So just a couple of facts about our audience today. We have over 200 big variety of people with us today, and just to show for our diversity, it's amazing that we've got so many people interested and wanting to take part of this. So now I'm just going to give a rundown of the panel of our speakers. If we can move into that, that's okay. All right. So first off, we have our keynote speaker, a very prestigious lady. Her name is Mamokgethi Phakeng. She is the Vice Chancellor of the University of Cape Town. So she began her term of office as Vice Chancellor of the University of Cape Town on the 1st of July 2018, where she has been as Deputy Vice Chancellor for Research and Internationalization since January 2017. Previous to this appointment, she served as Vice Principal for Research and Innovation at the University of South Africa for 5 years, after serving 3 years as Executive Dean of the College of Science, Engineering and Technology at the same university. She holds a PhD in Mathematics Education from the University of Witwatersrand and is a highly regarded BI NRF-rated scientist with over 80 research papers and 5 edited volumes published. She has been invited to deliver over 40 keynote plenary talks at international conferences and as a visiting professor in universities around the world, including Australia. She has won numerous awards for her research and community work, including the Order of the Baiba, conferred on her by the President of South Africa in April 2016. In August 2014, CEO magazine named her the most influential woman academic in Africa. In August 2016, she was awarded the prestigious Businesswoman of the Year Award, Education category, and in 2020, she was included in Forbes' inaugural list of the 50 most powerful women in Africa. In July 2019, the University of Bristol conferred on her an honorary doctorate in science in recognition of her leadership role in mathematics education in South Africa. Phakeng, as she is popularly known, was elected as a member of the Academy of Science of South Africa in November 2007, an honorary member of the Golden Key International Honor Society in May 2009, an honorary life member of the Association for Mathematics Education of South Africa in July 2009, and a fellow of the African Academy of Sciences in 2018. In 2008, she became the first Black South African researcher to be appointed to co-chair a study commissioned by the International Commission on Mathematical Instruction. The study, entitled Mathematics in 2016, which she co-edited. She is a member of the board of the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls, a trustee of the First Rand Foundation, and the South African Student Solidarity Foundation for Education. In 2016, she was appointed by the then Deputy President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, to chair the Human Resource Development Council Standing Committee on Mathematics and Science Education. She served as a member of the board of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research and chaired its Research Development and Innovation Committee from January 2015 till September 2017. She was elected in 2011 as the first woman president of the Convocation of the University of the Witwatersrand and served for first 2000. She led the Association for Mathematics Education of South Africa as its first woman national president from 2002 to 6. Served as founding chairperson of the board of the South African Mathematics Foundation from 2004 to 2006, and secretary and member of the executive committee of the International Group for the Psychology of Mathematics Education from 2003 to 2007. Gethi is the founder of the Adopt a Learner Foundation, a nonprofit organization that started in 2004 and provides financial and educational support to students from township and rural areas to acquire higher education qualifications. Thank you so much for being here, and it is a pleasure to have you within our midst. We're now going to move on to Frida Nzaba, our second speaker for today. She works as a repair and overhaul manufacturing engineer in Rolls-Royce. She completed her undergraduate studies in mechanical engineering at Sheffield Hallam University in 2017, in parallel with undertaking a level 4 extended diploma as an apprentice. She is currently a board member of the WISE Campaign Young Professionals Board. In 2019, she founded a social enterprise called Educator Global that aims to bridge the gap between STEM education and industry globally. Frida has mentored a dozen of young people, advising of them the options available to them after they finish their GCSEs and promoting them towards carrying out an apprenticeship. Frida is an advocate for diversity and inclusion. This has led to her becoming an active member and STEM lead for the Rolls-Royce Africa within the company. She is also a STEM ambassador for Rolls-Royce and Nottinghamshire. And that is our second speaker. So I think for now we will move to our keynote speaker, Prof. Mamokgethi, and we will just hear from her and then we'll continue on with the program. Prof, welcome to the space.
We should do this. Tatenda, thank you very much, and thank you for the generous introduction. It's a weekend, but it's all a weekend. Those of us who work crazy hours during the week exhausted, but I felt energized as you were introducing. So good afternoon, everyone. And thank you very much for inviting me to celebrate World Youth Skills Day with you. I don't think of this event as a way of helping young people. I actually think of this event as a way of getting young people to help us, because it is clear that the planet needs a major change. I believe that the world is facing so many global-sized problems today because of all the generations before us that have stuck to old ideas and ways of thinking. I attend meetings of researchers and academics in other parts of the world, and they talk about resilience, about bouncing back to the world was before COVID-19. But I think that across the planet, and especially here in the global South, we need to develop something more than resilience. Resilience is good, but we need something that's more than resilience. Many people around the world agree with me. They talk about something better than resilience, and it's called anti-fragility. This term comes from Nassim Nicholas Taleb, anti-fragility, and that's what I want to talk about today, at least. It is the ability to use difficult times to grow and improve. And this comes from Nassim Nicholas Taleb's book entitled Anti-Fragile, things that gain from disorder, things that wouldn't be as good as they are now if they did not have the disorder, or if they did not have the crisis or the challenge. And he says in the book, the resilient resist shocks and stay the same. The anti-fragile gets better. This is a quality that we all need to learn, but it is especially useful to entrepreneurs. And I think if you're younger, you even learn it better whilst you are young, because then you grow with the attitude that difficult times are not here to break you, to destroy you, or to declare you invisible out of this world. They are here and they can make you better. Entrepreneurs develop businesses and new business sectors by identifying a need and developing a way to meet that need. You could say that they make a living out of practicing anti-fragility. They find ways to solve a problem and then develop a business opportunity. And if that business grows, it can benefit others in the community or even across the country. So if you function with that kind of mindset, a problem-solving mindset that sees a problem and doesn't see that problem as sort of disabling you and stopping you from being, then you can see it as an opportunity to emerge from that better. So how can communities and policymakers support youth employment, skills development, and entrepreneurship? We need to begin by looking for ways to be an anti-fragile is keeping to the old ways of thinking, the old ways of being, and the old ways of doing. Young people often come up with new ideas or new ways of doing things, but then they hear responses like, we don't do things like that here, or that is not our culture. And honoring our culture, of course, is important, but even our oldest traditions started as a new idea a long time ago. Culture can also grow, that we can develop our culture to encourage imaginative and creative thinking. We need to be willing to learn from new ideas and let those ideas change the way we think and do things. Of course, not every new idea is a good idea, and even good ideas can take a lot of work to grow into a business opportunity that will succeed. But ideas are the beginning of change. So we need to develop the habit of encouraging new ideas, even in the midst of crisis or challenge. And one way of thinking that needs to change is the idea that government will fix our problems. So, you know, when you think someone else is going to fix your problem, you don't make an effort to find a solution for it, because you're a victim, you are waiting for a savior to solve or to resolve your problem. And look, this is not about politics. Truth is that the government has too many demands and not enough budget to meet all those demands, especially our governments on the African continent. There's just too many demands and not enough budget to meet all those demands. So anti-fragile people find ways to create their own solutions to the problems they are facing. In 2019, the news platform Ground Up, the platform here in South Africa, Ground Up, published an article about a group of Cape Town women from Philippi, Crossroads, Khayelitsha, and Strand, who grew tired of waiting for the government to build their RDP houses. So they started a stokvel to pool their money so they could build their own houses. In case you've never heard of the term stokvel, it is an informal pool of people who commit to each putting in a certain amount of money every month. And every month, one of the members takes a turn that receives that collection to spend. At the time of publication, the group, who called themselves the Masake Ladies, Let's Build Each Other, had 12 members who each contributed 2,450 a month. They would use the money to pay for the materials or a plot or a house that was already built, rotating to help a different member each month. Entrepreneurship is really just another name for problem solving. Every year, students at the University of Cape Town run an entrepreneurial event called the Pitch. Until I became the Vice Chancellor of the University of Cape Town, the Pitch was a competition that students ran on their own. And in 2018, after I was appointed as Vice Chancellor, before I took office, I went in to see what the Pitch does. Student teams in the Pitch identify a problem, they develop a solution that can be turned into a potential business, and then they present their ideas. And then I thought, wow, I mean, the ideas that they were presenting were amazing. These are students on campus. And at that time, the winner, they present their pitches, and the winner only gets bragging rights that they won the pitch. But the process of developing the solution, a potential solution to the problem, is very important whilst we're at university. When they are here, they have all the friends, peer group, but also academic staff who they can go and talk about their ideas with. And when I became VC, I thought this is a brilliant idea. We partnered with them. And since then, the top team wins seed funding of up to 25,000 rands and business mentorship and coaching from experienced industry professionals. And previous winners have addressed problems such as how to give and receive tips without handling cash and while observing social distancing protocols that are necessary with COVID-19. Some have explored how to deliver medicines cheaply and quickly to patients in hard-to-reach rural areas, including drones. Can I request that everyone mutes? Others explored how to develop low-cost 3D printers and deliver them to government schools to help teach learners to solve problems to learners, and how to use digital technology to develop children's audiobooks written in South Africa's 11 official languages, how to help students to make group travel bookings and enjoy a holiday at a reduced rate. These are ideas from students. They're attempting to respond to a particular question that exists currently in our society. What I love money. They dive into the problems they want to address. They apply what they are learning in their degree programs, but they also work with experts in their fields to create a more thorough solutions. They practice critical thinking to come up with novel solutions. They enjoy problem solving or solving these problems because they can be creative about it and try out.
Excuse me?
Yep.
Can you shut the fuck up?
I am so sorry for that, Mamokgethi.
Wow.
I think that is a troller within the mist.
Okay.
Please do excuse their comments.
All right. So can you put in security measures? I'm sure you can do that on. I'm sure you can do that because I'm definitely sure they're gonna come back.
Yes, so be sure to let the technical team handle that. Thank you.
All righty. Okay. All right. So here's the thing. I mean, last week I was talking to our students in the residence academic development committee, and I was talking to them about the luxury of being young and the added luxury of being young and being at a TVET college, at a higher education institution, whether it's a TVET college or a university or whatever institution it is. You know, you're not going to be 18 again. You know, those times, that period when you are between 18 and 25 or 18 and 23, pressure but what you have is the benefit of young people your age from all walks of life, some of whom you wouldn't ordinarily have met. And here you are, you have the luxury of meeting, being in the same space with them. It is also possible that the people that you're hanging out with right now, or the people in your campus, you might not be hanging out with them, but the people at your institution, there are many who are going to be CEOs, some are going to run countries or ministries in different countries, or even institutions, universities, and so on, and they are there in your midst, right? And of course, the disadvantage that you're doing yourself is to hang out institutions are the space, probably one of the very few spaces, if not the only one, where you can come from different political backgrounds, hold different political ideologies, religions, whatever, and you can be in the same hall and listen to the same talk and all ask different questions. It's a safe space to do that because it's a space of thinking, it's a space of ideas. Once you finish university, you get into spaces that are regulated, whether it's a church, whether it's a political party, even your employer will have some code of conduct and things that can be talked about or not. And many employers have that. It's very few spaces that don't have that. So when you are in an institution of higher learning, make the most of it. By the way, the other thing that you have in a TVET or any institution of higher learning is that you have experts around you, and those are the lecturers and whatever other academics in the institution that you are at. You can ask them any question. That's like having free consultants. You don't have to pay for a consultant. I said to our students, you have free consultants here. If you come to me with an idea, I don't ask you what are you going to do with it. I don't ask you whether you're going to sell it or whatever. You ask me a question, we engage. You can ask anyone. You could be in a humanities or social science faculty. You can go to the engineering faculty and ask. So you have that expertise just here with you. You make the most of time. Of course, because you're also young, you're forgiven for asking any question that someone might think you should know already. Everyone will think, wow, how curious. So that's the time to build a strong network, to learn, to ask questions, and to become who you want to be. Of course, you don't have to go to university to learn these new other ways of thinking. It's something that we can practice, or anti-fragility thinking. You don't have to go into university to think that way. It's something that we can practice in our own lives and teach our children and our young people. It's something we can instill at primary and high school. It means changing the way we think about educating our children, of course. For instance, how many teachers in grade school celebrated when learners try something and they fail? You know, oftentimes we taught that failing is disastrous, but actually many people who have succeeded in life have had some failure. Many entrepreneurs who are flying and running big corporates or their own companies that have become huge have failed at something in life. But how many school principals tell their learners it is okay if you make a mistake, as long as you don't camp there, as long as you pause and look at it, learn from it, pick up and go. The real failures are people who pop at their mistakes. And if we're going to improve any skills, you've got to have understand failure and identify the lessons from it is an important part of becoming an entrepreneur. Because the reality is a lot of new businesses struggle to get off the ground and survive. We are seeing that even established companies with a long track record were not prepared for the challenges that the pandemic brought. Some of them have failed, while others have made important changes as a survival strategy. So we need to learn how to make mistakes, learn from them, grow from our failures, and apply those lessons to the next new business idea. And one way to learn this kind of lesson is to talk to other entrepreneurs and learn from their stories. Communities can provide a platform for entrepreneurs to network with each other. Business organizations can offer mentorship and training opportunities for budding business developers. Radio stations, community newspapers, news websites, and social media bloggers can interview and profile entrepreneurs or to hear their stories, not just their successes, but also the failures and mistakes people have made and how they rose out of them. And this is the kind of thinking which is healthy and productive, not just for entrepreneurs, but for all of us. The World Economic Forum has predicted that in the year 2025, employers around the world will value and reward a different set of skills than most workers are used to practicing at work, and that's entrepreneurial skills. Employers say they will need workers who are experienced at solving problems, workers who know how to manage themselves, their work schedules and priorities, who are good at negotiating, listening, and working with people and working as a team, who are committed to lifelong learning, even after they earn a degree or diploma. Problem solving is going to be key. So if you want to have an opportunity, whether you're going to run your own business or work, then develop problem solving skills. Whether you're employed or not, when you walk around your community, spot problems and try to work through what could be a possible solution to this problem. Social Transporter has identified 4 key elements of an entrepreneurial culture that businesses and other organizations can incorporate to encourage creative thinking. The first one is openness, and that is being willing to share information and lessons learned. We develop openness by talking about both our successes and our failures. For instance, I have heard of some families that give every member an opportunity to talk about 2 things at the dinner table: the best part of their day and the worst part of their day. Members of a sports team can share the best and the worst part of their previous game. Work teams can discuss a project. The point is that we can all teach something and learn something from each other. And in a work or school setting, managers and teachers and student leaders can help the team understand the larger priorities around a project and encourage team members to think differently together. The second element is adaptability. And this is about making a commitment to get feedback from members of your organization and the people you deal with outside the organization, and then using that information to identify possibilities for change and improvement. It means being willing to change how we do things and get better. And the third one is measuring results and giving rewards. People need to know when they're making a positive impact, and they need to know whether they're appreciated or not. So if you're leading people, at some stage you measure whether they are meeting, they are delivering on the promise, and then you reward them, whatever that reward is. It doesn't have to be physical. And the final element is a culture of learning. It's important for everyone to have goals for personal improvement and to feel valued as they grow, as individuals and as a team. We all need the opportunity to discuss our goals, share our accomplishments with each other, and pitch in to help when we are needed. It doesn't matter if your friend's goal is not something that is important to you, but what matters is that your friend has the encouragement to follow that goal. Sharing encouragement is a bit like crowdfunding. If a lot of people are giving exercise the freedom to be different from those around us, but it is more fun, of course, and more rewarding when we can encourage each other, be creative as a team, and learn from each other as well as from our own experiences. Being a community is part of African culture. So I encourage you to commit yourself as a community to make the changes we need to grow and even thrive during this difficult time. As we help our young people to identify problems and find creative solutions, I'm confident that we all will find that that same potential in ourselves, so that we can grow as a community. Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you. And I look forward to an interaction. I hope you have questions or some things that you want to, questions that you want to ask me. Thanks very much, Tatenda.
Thank you so much, Prof. That was so refreshing and your insights were really helpful. I think the comparison that you made between anti-fragility and resilience was really important, in which anti-fragility not only empowers us to overcome chaos, but to thrive into it. And just making the relevance and importance of the privilege that we have as young people, the wealth of information that we have within our community, and just how we need to tap into that accessibility that is afforded of us, and not necessarily see ourselves as people who are constantly limited within our situations. Yes, so now we're just moving into the question and answer section, which will take place for about 5 minutes. So anyone who would like to ask a question, please do raise your hand in the reaction section, and we will answer accordingly. So.
Wow, you have a very well-behaved crowd. Ooh, it was this badly behaved, perhaps.
And following Kingsley, we all have Ruth. Thank you. In that order. Kingsley, you can unmute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Prof. It's very soothing hearing from you here from Nigeria. And I must say I'm impressed, and I'm proud of you as an African woman. I think you're an inspiration to other African women out there. So well done, Prof. And I think there's also a silent lesson I've learned from you in the course of your presentation. The incidents that happened, I've never seen that before. And how you managed that, and how you not really got, stuck with that.
Attender, you can hear Kingsley, right?
Your status is also something that one should learn. Question will be, there's been an issue that will towards xenophobia, because that has stayed for some time, and there's been instances where you have these clashes, these inter-ethnic clashes, and it happens amongst young people. So how do you think that, when the competition gets intense, issues like this come up? So how do you think that we should, handle issues as young people, and what mechanisms can we put in place to avoid issues of extremism like this, gets out of hand, and indeed it affects business relationships, it affects family relationships, it affects friendship as well. So what do you think we can do to put some of these things in check? Thank you very much for an excellent presentation. So God bless you.
Thanks, Kingsley. Ruth?
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Ruth.
Okay. My question is in regards to handling emotion when it comes to entrepreneurship, because you mentioned of saying that we need to understand the differences between each other, like when we're making emphasis on students going to high school and trying to communicate with people that is different from their background and their. So I want to know in terms of, because everybody's coming from a different background and having different mindsets and how to do things. So in what are the available awareness for such entrepreneurs and people that want to practice this anti-fragility in regards to emotions?
I'm trying to get your question again. So you want to know what is how you handle emotions as you interact with people from different backgrounds, or what? to handle emotions as an entrepreneur as you interact with people from different backgrounds?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Okay, I've got that, Ruth. Can I hear you, Paul? And then that will be the last because we're given 5 minutes. Paul?
Good afternoon, Professor.
Hi, Paul.
My question is sometimes as young people, you can have an idea that you share with your colleagues, and then you people decide to work on the idea. And sometimes you will discover that some people, or maybe some people in the group, are trying to hijack the idea. How do you handle such a thing?
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Paul. All right, let me start with Paul. I mean, my view would be that you would know who is your safe space or your inner circle that you share your idea with. I mean, you can always assume that if it's a groundbreaking idea, it might be that it may be taken up or appropriated by someone else. But you know, some ideas. I mean, sometimes I have an idea and I see someone else taking it, and I often say it will not come out the same way. It will not be the same if I don't do it. I know where it comes from. I know the depth of the idea, so I know the inner workings of the idea. So even if someone tries to reappropriate ideas, I mean, with right now with the online space, we share so many ideas. We do innovative things online, and you see someone trying to do the same thing that you do it, and I often think it will lose energy. So I'm not sure what idea you're talking about, but that's one possibility. Is it's not all ideas that you share with people that are always easy to steal. People might steal what they've heard or what they think you're doing, and it might not be exactly what you're thinking. So I would still go with it if it's my idea, because I would think that because it comes from me, it comes with that depth of knowledge, and therefore the way I would go about it would be very different from the way someone else is doing. And you know, if they are friends, I probably would ask them as well as to what up, like, you know, we're sharing ideas, or I would just learn and know that that's not the space to share ideas with them. Ruth, handling emotions. I mean, I don't know what you mean, because I think handling emotions when relating with people from different backgrounds would happen whether you're entrepreneurs or not. And at some level, it's about getting to know people, getting to know how some people, it is in their where they come from, whether it's home or a culture or a country, that's the way they engage. And it might affect. Okay, so I'm not sure if I can be able to answer your question, because I'm not, you know, I think emotional difficulties in interaction with people who come from a different space would be there. And look, I mean, even when you are in a university space and it's a space to engage with other people who don't look like you. It's not that you're going to like all of them. I mean, there will be people who don't look like you and you want to learn something from them. And then you make a conclusion after interacting with them for an hour or whatever and say, great. I wanted to have a friend from Sri Lanka, but not this one. I wouldn't make conclusions about people from Sri Lanka simply because I spoke to one person and it didn't go well. I would say, wow, I would like to meet other people from Sri Lanka because this interaction here with X, it didn't go well. The problem that humans have is that humans make a conclusion simply because they couldn't get along with me. They make a conclusion about South African women or South Africans in general, when actually you were disappointed by one person, you know? And I think that this connects to Kingsley's question about xenophobia, and sometimes competition gets rough and people go to, you know, start attacking one another. I mean, it's interesting in a context of lack. when there aren't enough resources to go around, people start looking at why am I not getting? And they then attribute their not getting to other people who might not be from the space. That's my view. And it doesn't only, I mean, I know that it happens with phobia that South Africans will say, well, I'm not getting because there are foreign nationals here who want, okay? Foreign nationals also do it. They say, well, we are in South Africa, we are discriminated from, we are not getting bursaries, Africans get bursaries. But of course, the truth of the matter is that if I'm in Nigeria, I will understand that Nigerians should get priority. You know, that's just what it is. But of course, here in South Africa, so you get it both ways. Anyone who's not getting, who doesn't have access to certain social goods will find an excuse. We hear in South Africa, there's even a thing about, you know, humanities and social sciences saying we don't get bursaries, it's only scientists. This country only cares about science, engineering, and technology. You hear, you know, sometimes it's, you know, one university saying this one gets more. And I think it happens a lot in a context of lack. Xenophobia became a big deal. You know, it wasn't such a big deal between 1994 and 2000. It became a big deal as things get tougher in South Africa. Jobs get scarce, more and more foreign nationals come into the country. This competition gets rife in terms of jobs. And so people then start counting, what am I losing? And so they see the other as a problem. It's not only in South Africa, it's in the US, it's everywhere. I've been to Ghana, where every problem that's in the country, they say Nigerians. You know, it's a fascinating thing. People tend to attribute their problems to the other. And I think, you know, I really, one of the things I love about working at UCT is the large, I mean, we've got students from about 132 countries. The African continent, the majority of students from outside South Africa from the African continent. And those who are following me in the room, you know that every year I spend time going hiking with students in the MasterCard program, the MasterCard Foundation Fellows at UCT, because they are, it's a program that's targeted for the leadership, young leaders, potential leaders in Africa, and they deliberately make the intake of South Africans lower. Okay, so the number of South African students in that group is sort of proportional to the groups from other countries. So no country dominates sort of the other. And I go hiking with them. I mean, it gives me so much hope for the continent, because when I'm with them, no, South Africa doesn't have hegemony. Nigeria doesn't. I mean, you see the different ways of showing up, coming up in the group. And because these are students who are selected, not only are they bright, but they've shown some leadership skill and where they go. And it's in that I can freely express my appreciation for being Nigerian, because there's a certain energy and attitude about being Nigerian that a student from Kenya can take, and a student from South Africa can learn from, and a student from Botswana can learn from. I mean, but there's also certain things, a certain level of whatever, of calmness or whatever, that a student from Uganda can learn from a student from Botswana. I mean, there's so many things that students in this MasterCard Fellows at UCT sort of represent in terms of the whole of Africa. And I can talk about what it means to be an Africa, and talk with them about the future of Africa. And I think we should grab as many opportunities as those to make our young people aware that this continent is only going to succeed if we see each other's strength, if we recognize where we come from. I mean, the countries in the African continent were colonized differently. There are countries in the continent that got a double whammy. South Africa and Namibia got more. I think they got the Germans, they got the Afrikaners before they got the whatever. You know, we got the English, and then we got apartheid. So there's difference. It's different from how Nigeria was colonized, how it unfolded. It's different from how liberation came about and how people gained themselves. And it influences how we see, how things unfold. And for many, heat of the continent is this idea elsewhere in the world are not here to take. It's weird, right? It's weird that people think if you're from the continent, you are here to take our jobs, but if you're from Europe or Asia, you're not here to take our jobs. I mean, it's almost self-hate if you think about it. So it's weird. It's about resources, and you hate the closest people who are closest to you. So Kingsley, I hope we sorted that one. But if we get time for lunch, we might talk about it even more. Thank you very much, Tatenda.
Thank you so much, Prof. This has been such an amazing opportunity to hear from you, and we are truly appreciative. For anyone who would like to contact you or to follow you on social media platforms, how can they reach out to you? I think, are you able to share your details on the chat box?
Well, at Feb Academic on Twitter and Instagram.
On Twitter and Instagram. All right. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
Thank you very much, Tatenda. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. All right. That was so refreshing, everyone. I am assuming everyone is feeling so lively and energetic and ready to just continue on with this program. Now we're going to introduce Frida and Nzaba to the floor. Frida, thank you so much for being here with us. The floor is yours.
Hello, hi, thank you for having me. Is it possible if I can share my slides? I'm not sure how to share, so it's just saying whiteboard. It's not permitting me.
All right, I think has it started sharing? I think it's the whiteboard right now.
Yes, I haven't got an option to share the PowerPoint. Let me try. Sorry for this. I'm not sure how I would be able to share. It's very
not
different.
Giving an option to share the screen.
Yes, yeah. I don't know. Do I need to be? I'm co-host already.
Let me just contact the technical team.
Yes, I'm just getting the whiteboard option.
Introduced her profile. I'd just like to reintroduce her. Frida works as a repair and overhaul manufacturing engineer in Rolls-Royce. She has completed her undergraduate studies in mechanical engineering at Sheffield Hallam University in 2017, in parallel with undertaking a level 4 extended diploma as an apprentice. She is currently a board member of the WISE Campaign Young Professionals Board. In 2019, she founded a social enterprise called Educator Global that aims to bridge the gap between STEM education and industry globally. Frida has mentored a dozen of young people, advising them of the options available African and Caribbean Pioneers Network, which is an employee resource group within the company. She's also a STEM ambassador for Rolls-Royce and Nottinghamshire. Yes, thank you. Frida, is the sharing screen option working now by any chance?
It is not working. Are you able to share the screen on your end?
Yes, I can. Let me just see if I can. Yes, I can. So possibly if it can be sent to me or to any of the other co-hosts.
Okay, yes.
All right.
It's fine. Okay. Yep, it should be transferring. So I'm not sure how long it'll take, whether it's worth the next person and I'll go after them.
Okay, hi everyone. Sorry, while we work on Frida's slide, I should be calling our next speaker, Reginald Aziza. I don't know if Reginald Aziza is online now. We would love to have him come on board. And I would hand over to Tatenda to read his profile briefly. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Reginald Aziza is in the room, yes?
I'm here in the room. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. We're just about to read your profile. It is really a pleasure to have you with us today. So, Reginald Aziza. Dr. Honoriode Reginald Aziza is a lawyer, researcher, and social activist. Reginald was admitted to the Nigerian bar in November 2013. Presently, he is an attorney in the legal division of Chevron Nigeria Limited, where he provides legal support to the business in a broad range of complex, high-value matters. Reginald recently completed his doctorate degree from the University of Oxford, where he researched into capital markets development in sub-Saharan Africa, exploring ways to unlock the potential of the region's capital markets to make them more credible complements to sustainable economic growth in the region. Prior to this, Reginald worked in leading law practices in Lagos, London, and Paris, in a career traversing corporate and project finance, capital markets, litigation, and commercial and investment arbitration. A mentor to scores of young Nigerian lawyers. In 2017, Reginald launched the Reginald Aziza Leadership in Law Scholarship. The scholarship funds bright but financially constrained students to the Nigerian Law School, and thereafter seeks to connect them to jobs and scholarship opportunities to further their education and careers. The scholarship has now funded 9 students to the law school, some of whom are now working in leading practices and companies in Nigeria and secured admission to some of the best universities in the world. Reginald holds in excess of 25 awards and scholarships for academic, personal, and professional accomplishments, as well as first-class law degrees by Femi Awolowo University, the Nigerian Law School, and the University of Cambridge. Reginald, it is a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much, Tatenda. Good day, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Can you just let me know if you can hear and if you can see my screen?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Excellent. Again, thank you very much. It's an absolute pleasure to be with you all today. I joined at the end of the last presentation, and it's just great. Geographical representation across the room. So really looking for my topic will be capacity building and the significant skills development and excelling amidst Africa's impending challenges. In the course of this presentation, I'll walk you through some of my thoughts around where we are in the continent, what the opportunities are that exist today, and then some of my tips on how you can then harness yourself to take advantage of these opportunities. I should preface that, as my profile suggests, I am a lawyer, so I'm really not heavily involved in the STEM field, at least directly. However, I work in an energy company, and I have these conversations a lot of times, and hopefully my own personal experiences may also be useful to some of you. So said that, I would go straight into the presentation then. Just a very short presentation with just setting out my thoughts on the topic. So we start from the beginning, and this is a map of Africa, and again we not label ourselves with a geography lesson. However, some things stand out when you consider the African continent as a whole, right? For starters, you have, it is the most populous continent in the world, with a population of over 1.3 billion people. That population is projected to double to 2.49 billion people by the year 2050. Some countries, the demographic projections suggests by 2050 would in fact more than double, but this is what you would have as a continent-wide average. Now, in terms of land mass, Africa, of course, is a large continent. However, for many reasons, not least because the Saharan desert sits in a fairly large expanse of land in North Africa. 43% of the African population living in urban areas, and this cuts across all countries and across all soil, weather, and climate types. What's perhaps more important is that about 41% of the population of the continent is under the age of 15, which already starts showing you what your opportunities and perhaps the challenges could be. If you look at the numbers for the population below 30, then you're well over 50%, and as such, you have a very young population, a population that is very far from retirement and that is still in its active, productive life. Just keeping up with population, and this now starts getting where we could start seeing a few cracks. Like I said, population growth is projected to double by 2050, as an annual growth rate at the moment for about 2.6%. Now, if you take and look at your GDP figures, you hold your population figures on one hand and look at GDP figures on the other, you see where you can start getting worried. And that is the fact that on a continent-wide basis, at least last year, and in some instances a few years before, and most definitely in a few countries, we take Nigeria, my native country, as an example, for a number of years had population growth higher than economic growth, right? Now, for an economist, that's already a problem. And that's because if you hold all else constant and population is increasing more than the size of the economy, then already, if this is the case in Nigeria, if about half of your population is already in or below the poverty line, and that population is increasing faster than the economy, then holding all else constant, by definition, more people are falling into the poverty line than not, right? And that's a problem that you have right now. 2020 perhaps was accelerated by COVID, but unfortunately, projections are that you start getting to an upward trajectory in 2021. In terms of natural resources, exceptionally rich continent with significant reserves of perhaps anything you can think about. However, harnessing the human and technological capability to unlock both human potential and, in fact, the natural resources has always proven to be a challenge. Now, let's then focus on COVID. And again, recall that the topic for today is skills development and excel in midst of current challenges, right? Now, if you look at COVID and start examining how COVID has impacted on the continent, then some of the things I spoke about in the previous slide start becoming even more critical. So COVID brought with it the worst recession in Africa, in the continent for at least the last 50 years. And that led to a severe strain on public resources. So start off from stimulus packages and public funds that had to go very hard into fighting the pandemic. The African Development Bank estimates that between $125 and $145 billion of additional funding will still be required for the continent. You had, again, because of the increase in public spending, a lot of countries then had to start borrowing a lot more than they previously did, right? And debt to GDP ratio spiked across the continent to somewhere around 70% on a continent-wide basis from the latest statistics coming out of the African Development Bank. Now, 70% ordinarily is not great, but it's not crisis region yet. Of course, for countries like the United States, as an example, some of these states are at that level, then in their specific circumstances, that may be unsustainable for them. In raising this additional funding, many states tend to new sources of financing. So that included the international capital markets. A number of countries floated bonds and green product borrowing relating to a lot of things that you may be interested in as we go ahead with in subsequent slides. Two additional issues. One is because of the additional strain on public resources, have debt service obligation become critical. Indeed, a budget survey of Nigeria in 2020 suggested that as over 90% of government revenues went into debt service in Nigeria last year. Critical issue, therefore, is if so much of revenues are going into debt service, how do you then fund capital projects? And how do you invest in the youth? And how do you invest in education? How do you invest in public healthcare and in public utilities? And these are the sorts of challenges that we then have at the moment. And unfortunately, you can only foresee to persist for a little while longer. Finally, these fiscal problems then leads to debt sustainability issues. And I spoke about that very briefly a few minutes ago, but some countries are getting into debt distress and some others are in very high risk of debt distress. So fundamentally, you have, if you can sum this up, you have an exciting, young, vibrant, productive population. However, that population has a number of challenges at the moment, overlaid by the fact that is challenged at the moment, and it's likely to continue to be challenged in the immediate future. Now, having looked at some of the challenges that you have, of course, the more interesting question is never about the challenges. It's really about the opportunities and how do you But what we've seen in the last few years has been a strong increase in, can you still see my screen, please?
No, we can't see your screen again.
Oh, okay. I think it says the host disabled participant screen sharing.
You can't see your screen.
I'm trying to share it again, but it's telling me the host disabled participant screen sharing. So,
all right. I think the technical team is handling that right now.
okay.
We'll just wait. I think in a couple of seconds they will be able to.
I think I have it back now.
You have it back now. Okay, awesome. Thank
yes,
you.
please let me know if you can see the screen now.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Yes, we can.
Excellent. Okay, now what we've seen in recent times has been a strong increase in the services industry and an explosive growth really in services, to the point where as of 2019, again, statistics coming out of the African Development Bank suggest that over 50% of the continent's GDP was attributable to the services industry. And that is remarkable for a continent that previously relied very heavily on natural resources. And as such, you have an expanding market right there. Additionally, you have an expanding market in technology and an explosive exponential growth really in internet penetration, in technology deployment all across the continent. Now, if you look at the charts that I have on the right-hand side of the screen, and that shows statistics coming out of Statistica of January 2021 on internet penetration in the continent. Now, it's of course very uneven in the sense that Southern Africa has internet penetration which is in actual fact above the world average. And other regions across the continent have varying levels. But if you look at trends, speaking to mobile deployment, internet penetration, and you look at ITU data on the state of broadband across the world as of 2020, you have a very serious growth in technology, leading to the development of well over 400 technology hubs across the continent and an explosion in tech startups, primarily located around tech hubs in Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa, but again in other countries around the continent. Now, speaking of startups and keeping our minds focused on that, you've also had an explosive growth of startup investments across the continent, fueled by the growth of the VC industry in the continent. The chart on the right-hand side looks at both number of deals and the value of deals of venture capital PE-funded deals across the continent, taken from the African Venture Capital Association. And what you see there, but particularly if you focus your mind towards the right corner of the graph, between 2018 and 2019, you have this absolute spike. And looking at the trend line on the number of deals, again, an explosive growth in the number of deals across the continent, culminating in 2019, reaching well over $1 billion in PE investments into the continent. And these have primarily focused on areas around fintech and utilities, transportation, healthcare, agribusiness. So if you remember what I said earlier about public finance and where we are at the moment with constrained public, constrained sources of public finance, and also the conversation we had just a few minutes ago about the rise in new methods of finance across a growth in private equity funding that really now serves this purpose of providing the alternative to the traditional means of financing ventures across the continent. So you're in a position right now where, to a large extent, there's capital waiting to be deployed if a business is right and the idea is good, the business plan is great. There's typically funds to support that. Moving on to the next slide. Now, if you have these challenges and you have these opportunities, the question then is, how do you harness them? How do you excel and succeed in the midst of these challenges? And that then takes us to really the heart of our conversation today, which is the significance of skills and excelling in today's Africa. Now, consider skills to be the unique things that you can do to create value, right? So if you create a resume today, for instance, and ask you for your skills, you're likely to say you are able to do this and you're able to do that, you're able to code, you're an excellent negotiator, you're an excellent, just whatever it is. But it will be a skill to the extent that creates or adds value to the organization looking at it, right? And then consider excellence, on the other hand, to be your ranking amongst similar people who have those same skills, right? So if you say, for instance, that you are excellent in coding, that is great. So coding is a skill, and excelling in it is where you rank amongst the people who also can do that same thing, right? Or in my own situation as a lawyer, right? And you say you are extremely analytical, and you can take in a vast amount of data, look through it, process it carefully, and create a compelling argument in favor of a certain proposition, right? That is a skill. How well you can do that is you cannot excel without being skillful at something. If excel, there's no point in having a skill or in being skillful at something if when you're rank ordered amongst the people who can do that thing, you're not excelling at it, right? So it's great to have the skills, it's great to develop them. What is even better is to excel at them. The challenge you therefore have as a young African in today's world, where you have these problems and these opportunities in front of you, is identifying the valuable skills that you can sell to a target market and showing them that you excel in those skills. Now, speaking of skills, and just dovetailing quickly towards the end of the presentation, what skills are therefore relevant or important in today's 21st century Africa? And I guess the audience here is already all too familiar with this, and there's really no need to go through there's a lot of and data analytics and coding and developing and all that, and again, we need not bother ourselves with that. What I would like to focus on just a bit more, though, are what you may call the social skills or the soft skills, right? And these are things that, however great you are technically at something, they are the additions that then ultimately get you to where you want to be. So think of a simple thought experiment, right? Think of Elon Musk as a flagship of a winner in the 21st century economy, and ask yourself, what is his greatest strength? And a lot of people will come up with different answers to that. So you could say he's extremely tech savvy. He's vision. Cognitive flexibility is the fact that I'm able to excel at electric cars. Other things, just think about it, at cryptocurrencies. And I'm able to do that seamlessly across multiple places, right? So if his skills were in coding alone or in development, then he certainly won't be able to achieve to these skills. It's usually important, in my view, to look at the things that make a person complete, the things that perhaps sit behind what you see. So take negotiation as an example. Now, say you are a great entrepreneur, you're able to think about and create a product that is revolutionary, right? Now, you bring that product, you want to take that product to the markets, or perhaps more commonly, you want to scale that idea, right? So you meet a venture capitalist, and the venture capitalist says, I can provide funding to the project, I just need veto rights over all the significant decisions the business will take in the next 5 years, one, and I need control over 60% of its shares and cash flows today, right? Now, however brilliant your idea is, there you are with the problem, and you need to negotiate your way around it. You may say, well, okay, I don't have negotiation skills, so I have to, let me hire Reginald or some lawyer, some law firm to assist with that negotiation. All fair and good, but you speak to the lawyer, and the lawyer says, well, you know what, I really don't even want you to pay me in cash right now. I want you to pay me with 8% for equity. And now you have to get into that negotiation with that person. Or you, perhaps more regularly, you have these skills and you want to gain employment in a company, right? You're eyeing one of the giant tech companies or whatever it is. How do you negotiate your way to getting the sort of pay and terms that you want? So again, your technical ability is there, but these other things really do matter. And leadership is a key example. Creativity, people management, particularly when you get into the top of the ladder. All these things come together to make you the well-rounded person that is then able to take advantage of these opportunities that the 21st century presents. Finally, we could just speak a bit about excelling. And if, like I said previously, you consider excelling as your position in the rank order of things, then the first thing you need to do is really to understand your market and your competition, right? So if I take myself as an example, I'm a lawyer and I ask myself, well, what's the market I want to play in? If I'm able to define that market, then I'm now able to ask myself, what do the best people in this place have? How do I distinguish myself from the rest of them, right? But that is first of all grounded in a deep understanding of the market. So wherever it is you want to be, you also want to join the brilliant team in Rolls-Royce. Beautiful. What do those people have? What do people who aspire to this same job have? And how do I stand? In my view, then important to develop what that your unique selling point is. That trump card, that thing that you have that nobody else can show. And a thing that makes you stand out and be remembered in, be it a conversation, a pitch, an interview, whatever that thing is. Unfortunately, to achieve that unique thing, you usually will have to go the extra mile, and you must be prepared to push much further than your contemporaries. Let me first an example again. I completed my doctorate early in the year, in about March or so. And to achieve that, I was working full-time in Chevron at the time, and still am right now. To achieve that, you could imagine doing your regular work and layering on top of that doctoral level research in Oxford on a daily basis. And what I unfortunately meant was multiple hours, multiple days of less than 5 hours of sleep on a consistent basis. Very little to no leave times. It's not to say that that's the standard of what success looks like, or that is what anybody needs to do. It's simply an example of what sometimes you may need to put yourself through to get to where you want to be, right? So whatever that looks like in your own field, in your own circumstances, be prepared always to push beyond the extra mile. And finally, I always say it's a really good idea to signal your quality, in the sense that people don't know what you have until you show it to them. People don't know what you are capable of until you show it to them. And today, anybody can write anything on a resume, right? Anybody can say, I can create a resume today that says that I'm excellent in coding. Well, unfortunately, I'm not, but I can put that down on paper, right? And anybody can do that as well, and anybody can write things. But oftentimes, what is more important is to back that thing up with something that the person on the other side of the table sees and recognizes that, my goodness, it's difficult to achieve that. And if I see this in a person's resume, if I see this in a product, I understand instantly that that is quality, right? In some instances, that may be a certification. That may be a certain level of experience. That may be a class of degree. It may be academic. It could be different things. And for me as a lawyer, if I'm speaking to an audience of lawyers, that will be different, right? But in your own situation, in the field that you want to get into, I think it's critical to identify what you can use to signal your quality, what it is that a person sees and attribute quality to you without you having to speak. And having achieved that, hold on to it, signal that quality as often as you can. And usually, these doors are open, like I said. The quality is there, and the funders are there to back it up. The jobs oftentimes will open up even in the most difficult of circumstances. So this is about my presentation today. It's critical to build these skills and to excel in them, because in today's Africa, you have exciting opportunities, but you also have serious problems. And your ability to develop yourself to a point where you excel at the things that create or add value would always stand you apart in the market. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reginald. That was such an amazing presentation, and we're very appreciative of all the analytical information that you gave us. I think it gives us so much more of a fuller representation of how much we have potential as a continent to move forward and take advantage of these times as a way that we can bolster forward amidst the problems that we have. In the interest of time, as we move on to the question and answer section, we'll only be able to entertain one question. So anyone, okay, so we have a hand already. So that is from Olatunde. Olatunde, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Reginald, for the presentation. It was fantastic. Just to ask more like a question and a commentary, you mentioned that it's important to know yourself, to know your unique selling point. So these are very great points. Another thing which might be related to signaling and to make your signal permanent, as you said, is also to have a narrative for how you tell your story. I don't know if you mentioned that, maybe I missed it, but to know your narrative and to guard it so that when it's time for you to, when you're called upon or you have the stage, you can always present yourself in the best light. So this is more like it. Do you also agree, or what do you think? Thank you.
Olatunde, I couldn't agree with you more. It is crucial in my view to have a solid, credible story, right? And so in my own, so if I use myself as an example, it's a story of taking advantage of opportunities as they present themselves, whilst maintaining a consistent level of quite difficult academic accomplishments, right? And putting that on the table usually means, so if I come into a room of lawyers, like, so I'm speaking about what is likely to happen for me, and you can then start thinking about what's likely to occur for yourself. With a master's from Cambridge and a doctorate from Oxford, that instantly sends something into people's minds without me having to speak, right?
Sure.
And then at the point of speaking, you can narrate a story that shows that I have been at the top of the ladder for a very long time, right? Your ability to do that can really sell you out and stand you apart in conversations. And these stories also become important even if you want to be an entrepreneur. And creating a story that shows where your product is coming from, right? And the things that led you there, the challenges you faced on the way, and how that has helped you to build something compelling, which is now ready for the market, right? That's a fantastic story to also tell. So,
exactly.
So wherever you are and whatever you're trying to achieve, it's, in my view, absolutely important that you have that narrative that you own, that shows what you're bringing to the table and why what you're bringing to the table is unique. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Reginald. It has, Dr. Reginald, may I correct myself? It has been such an amazing experience just hearing from you and learning more about what we can do, especially with the way technology is becoming something that Africa can take a hold of, and it's actually being received from the investment side and also from the startup side. So I think that's something that really merges well together. Thank you so much for giving yourself to the community and just allowing yourself to share all this wealth of information. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Again, thank you very much for having me. Really enjoyed my time here. Thank you.
Right, so we are now going to move into our speaker, Frida Nzaba. Frida, I believe.
Yeah, I should be able to share the screen, so it's fine. I think because now I'm a participant, so I'll just share the screen so I can move by myself.
Amazing. Okay.
Yes. Thank you very much. I think it's because I was a co-host, so it might not work for co-host.
Oh,
but
yes.
when you're a participant, you can share. So
all right.
Hopefully everyone can see this.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for being patient with me. So I think I'll look at this from a different angle to other people. So I'll just continue. I'll share. So my name is Frida Nzaba, and currently I'm based in Nottingham in the UK, and I'm from Kenya, just to give you a brief background. So I'll talk you through, so the agenda is I'll talk you through Rolls-Royce, a bit about me, so my current role, what skills I require for the current role, a bit about Educator Global, which is my non-profit social enterprise. So what are we doing for in Africa, the importance of skills for work and entrepreneurship, and then key future skills and also current skills. And then I'll also share some of my suggestions on this topic, and then question and answers at the end. Okay, so in terms of Rolls-Royce, I just want to set the scene. So Rolls-Royce, they don't manufacture cars at the moment anymore, actually. They sold it off to Volkswagen Group, I believe. So at the moment, we only deal in 3 different sectors, and one of them is civil aerospace. So I'm going to present this video, just a quick 2-minute video or less, but I want everyone to focus on, instead of focusing on the product and the visual, focus on this, on the actual, what's being said. Yeah, so just focus on the actual, what's being said in the background. So I'm going to play the video for you, because this will...
At Rolls-Royce, we believe in the positive, transforming potential of technology. Shape the world we live in. We've created the world's most efficient large aero engine, powered developed game-changing engineering solutions for supersonic jets, and even supported NASA missions on the edge of space. We disrupt, we challenge convention, we champion new solutions. We pioneer the power that matters. We're always looking forwards, creating an environment where our people can be at their best, shape the future, and work on incredible projects that matter. We give them the freedom to grow, challenge, and be brilliant. We collaborate, innovate, and embrace different ways of thinking. We're pioneers. Together, we'll advance beyond tomorrow.
So hopefully you heard the sound in the background. The reason I wanted to share that is to just those key words. So innovate, collaboration, seeing the technology, those are future skills that basically they're advertising, saying that this is what we need. Youth, listen, this is what we need. So a lot of people get caught up in the visual aspect, but listen to what they actually say in the background. So who are Rolls-Royce? So we are one of the world's leading industrial technology companies. So creating power and propulsion systems, at land and sea and air. So we pioneer the power that matters. So the different areas that we operate in as Rolls-Royce is civil aerospace. So currently I'm based in civil aerospace. Defense, so this is powering the military aircrafts, submarines for the UK, Royal Navy, and also power systems. So power systems is currently based in Germany at the moment. And also I think they do a few things as well in South Africa as well in terms of the civil aerospace aspect. So my current role, what do I do? So I'll give you a brief background about my journey into Rolls-Royce and it'll help put things into context. So for me, I'm 26, so hopefully you'll help the youth that's out there. So that's me. I grew up in Kenya. So I moved over to the UK at age 7 from Kenya. I had a passion of singing music, songwriting. So everyone looks at me and they think, what, you didn't have a passion for engineering straight away? And I'm like, no, I developed that passion. So that, you know, as a youth, if you're out there, just because you're not interested in a particular field yet, you should just give it a go, try it first, and you never know. So my family encouraged me to pick engineering as one of my options. As you know, most African parents, you either do law, engineering, or being a doctor. So my mom wanted me to be an engineer, so I picked engineering as one of my options in GCSEs. I began to study engineering in year 10, so this is when I was around 14, 15. And then I decided to go into sixth form. I fell in love with engineering. And I was predicted to get a D's in my GCSE physics. Can you imagine being an engineer and hearing that? But I worked, I did private tuition. My mom had to pay for private tuition just to help me and aid me in terms of maths. So out there, if you're a young person and you're interested in a particular career that needs certain subjects, if you need that extra boost, why don't you utilize the teacher? Very different things that you can do. So I never gave up. I finished with A and 2 B's and a distinction star, which was pretty good for somebody who was predicting. Is basically but I will also study alongside my work, if that makes sense. We would only get 1 day off work in order to go to university. So I studied mechanical engineering as a university degree whilst working for Rolls-Royce. So that's what an apprenticeship is. It gives you the balance between both practical elements, so you gain all your skills through the work, through working, and then you gain the technical skills, understanding more about mechanical engineering through going to university. And also the good thing is it's a sponsored degree. So I do not have any debts, and anyone that knows about the debts in UK in terms of uni, it's £9,000 per year. And imagine I would have to study for 4 years. So that's quite a lot of money. So this is why I'm such an advocate for apprenticeships. I'm such an advocate for studying and also doing at the same time. So I'll just keep going. Okay, so yeah, so currently I'm a manufacturing engineer at Rolls-Royce. So these are just a few pictures for me at work. As you can see, I'm the only, so when I joined my apprenticeship in 2013, I was the only Black female out of a cohort of 170 people. So that just shows you that, wow, like it's crazy to get into these industries. So you have to pay particular attention when we are sharing these little nuggets, these little tips, write them down because you will need them when you're doing your CV. So diversity and inclusion, like for me at work, I go over and above. I'm an engineer, but I also try and get myself into various things. And that's why you need to be adaptable as one of the skills. So a bit about my job. So what do I do? So in Rolls-Royce, a lot of people think that I've given a car manufacturing aspect. So I've worked in both manufacture. So this is manufacturing components from scratch. And then I've also worked in repair overhaul. So maintenance and repair overhaul is currently where I'm working. Think of it as a big garage that engines go through. So basically my job is to be the technical ability engineer for that particular package of work. So if they need any help, any solutions with tools, drawings, basically anything that is stopping the engine from progressing towards the process line, we're there to kind of tackle it. So that's what I kind of do at work. So my journey so far, so I'm a manufacturing engineer, as I mentioned. I'll show you the skills that I need, that I found really helpful. Hopefully you can take a few notes. So creative thinking, in order to be a manufacturing engineer or even an engineer in general, you need to be creative thinking. So for me, I've got a creative background. I've always been interested in music and arts. So now even being an engineer, it kind of helps me, that creative aspect of it helps me. I don't look at things black and white. I kind of try and think outside the box. Also, I pay a lot of attention to details. I love triple checking, double checking my work. Sometimes this can take a lot of time, but it's worth doing. As an engineer, you can't go wrong, especially with aerospace. Communication skills, you need to be very good at communicating with other people. So as engineers, we operate with various people from accounting, finance, to a bit of HR. So you kind of need to have that interpersonal skills. Leadership, you need to be assertive, especially being a female in an engineering environment. Like in my current shift, so we work in shifts, there's 150 people and I'm the girl. We're only 2 girls in that 150 people. So you need to show your assertiveness, but in a nice way, and also and have that leadership trait. So teamwork, you need to be very into what you do, motivated, respectful, and also time management. That is key, especially, for me, time management, I needed to work on, but I think work forces you to work on that. And curiosity, don't feel shy to ask questions. So beyond engineering, I'm an advocate for people doing things outside of their field. So if you're interested in engineering, if you're interested in law, whatever it is, get yourself extracurricular activities. So whether you like traveling, whether you like, for example, I've got a mentor, that's one thing that I would advocate for. Get yourself a mentor in the field that you want to go to, and don't be shy to ask people. Also, nominate yourself for awards, put yourself out there to just say, this is what I've accomplished. If you've got a little business and you know that you're doing good things, but you're shy, just put yourself out there, because you never know who you can connect with. And also LinkedIn is a very, very beautiful platform that is free and anyone can utilize. So connect with people through that way. So I'll keep moving on. So in terms of Educator Global, so this is a non-profit social enterprise I started. Education between the gap in education. We are the different SDGs. Or if you've got your own business, if you also have your own social enterprise, you should really look at these goals, because they work towards helping the youth, they work towards helping gender disparities, and so many other things. I won't go into detail. So how is Educator Global dealing with it? So we decided to launch something called challenge-based learning. And just to give you context, Educator Global works in UK and Kenya. So at the moment, we only operate in Kenya and the UK. So everything that I share is probably around Kenya at the moment. So why did we create this program called Challenge-Based Learning? Is to bridge the gap. There's a massive skills gap. So what you find, especially, I'm not sure about other countries in Africa, but in Kenya, you find that you get people that study STEM subjects, that study mechanical engineering, and a lot of my friends do. But when they leave, when they finish that degree and they get like a first class and they go on to get jobs, they don't have the skills to match. They don't have stuff like, for example, timekeeping, basic skills that you really need, because we're too invested in reading books, too invested in passing the exams, that we don't even bother doing like work experience outside of the university. So when it comes on school holiday, when you have a summer break, everybody's relaxing. Instead, why are you not out there looking for work experience to help your CV and to help you understand what is mechanical engineering? Have you got a garage that is next door to your house that you can go and help them, you know? So those are things that I try and promote with the challenge-based learning. So our focus is the youth. So we tend to work with this school and university school. So what the program your employment, put them through training programs. So whether it's basic Excel, basic Word presentation, they get that 1 week, 2 weeks experience in terms of training. And then after that, we match them up with an industry or a job that needs that particular skill. For example, in Kenya, there's nearly 39% of young Kenyans that are unemployed. Like it's something we need to work. So with Educator, we've managed to, it's only a new program that we've launched. We've managed to pair up one student that's gone into a drones organizations for 3 months. So she'll be supporting a drones organization. So that is amazing. You know, those are opportunities we like to hear. So due to time, I'm going to skip this slide and go to the important ones. Another thing that I wanted to mention is more and more young people, especially in Africa, what we find with our mentality, we tend to stay in school longer. So more people go for masters, PhDs, and then they never even get work experience